In search of a flourishing Latino art scene, we often look to meccas such as San Francisco. Los Angeles, Philadelphia, and New York. But our search need not extend further than our own backyard at the Hood Museum of Art.
The Hood's pioneering collection of Latin American and Latino art encompasses works from Dartmouth's first artist-in-residence, Carlos Sánchez, to those created by preeminent visionaries like MARÍA, Magdalena, CAMPOS-PONS, RUPERT GARCÍA, ENRIQUE CHAGOYA, and ROBERTO MATTA.
The Hood's collection provides a glimpse into a truly formative time of Latino art. The collection spans the mid-20th century to the contemporary period, an epoch which saw many shifts in American culture, but also an era in which many Latino artists began to imbue their works with Latino culture, history, and experience, and ultimately contextualizing Latino influences and struggles in the broader American culture of which they are part of.
The mid-20th century period would give rise to a generation of Latin American and Latino artists who would not only influence American art movements, but even lead them. This seminal period saw drastic social and political change. Latino artists began attending art schools in the United States, while Latino communities simultaneously began to contest their marginalized position in American society. Indeed, many Latino artists were galvanized by the civil rights movement and became masters of socially conscious and engaged art.
Of the artists in the Hood's collection, many inflect avant-garde modes with themes and issues drawn from Latino culture, history, and experience, while others have influenced modern and contemporary art movements and styles such as abstract expressionism, surrealism, minimalism, performance art, and beyond.
By understanding and examining this Latino presence, we can begin to appreciate the inextricable relationship between Latino artists and the broader art and culture of the United States.
Carlos Sánchez is notable for being Dartmouth's first artist in residence. Born in 1898 in La Ciudad de Guatemala, Sánchez eventually enrolled in Dartmouth College in 1919. His experience in college with both professors and peers gradually challenged his religious beliefs, which profoundly shaped and influenced his previous artwork. His artistic prowess burgeoned after his arrival to the United States, where he reached the height of his cultural and intellectual legacy. Under President Hopkins, Dartmouth invited Sánchez to join a new Fellow in Art program. During his time as the first artist in residence, Sánchez helped found the arts department at Dartmouth, and at the end of his year-long residency, he remained at the college to assist Orozco in painting his famous mural, The Epic of American Civilization, in Baker Library. The Hood's collection includes Sánchez's self-portrait, which was created during his undergraduate years at Dartmouth. During this time, Sánchez was combating the pressures he faced with his religious beliefs and is even quoted saying, "I don't think I have ever suffered as much as during that struggle for my faith." Sánchez later stated, "That goes deep, you know. I hated God." His aggression and angered expression is emphasized by the use of discordant colors and erratic brushstrokes. In light of his existential struggle and questioning everything he believed up to that point in his life, Sánchez portrays himself as lacking youth and direction, and instead sits silent, strained, and contemplative.
Enrique Chagoya immigrated to the United States in 1977, freelancing as a graphic designer and illustrator. Enrique Chagoya's work addresses the changing nature of normative societal values through the use of prints and painting. He states, "My artwork is a conceptual fusion of opposite cultural realities that I've experienced in my lifetime. I integrate diverse elements, from pre-Columbian mythology, Western religious iconography, and American popular culture. I think in terms of opposites, to balance each other, a dialectical interaction that hopefully could trigger some laughter. CHAGOYA draws from his multicultural background, as he has lived on both sides of the US-Mexico border, juxtaposing secular, popular, and religious symbols in order to address the ongoing cultural clash between the United States, Latin America, and the world. CHAGOYA has gained renown through his use of pop icons as a comfortable and deceptive entry point for the masked discussion of complex, racially charged issues. CHAGOYA argues that oppression and neocolonial sentiments are an integral part of American domestic and foreign policy and must be addressed in all forms of media. The most unique aspect of CHAGOYA's work is his practice of reverse anthropology. He evidences the work of Pablo Picasso, who incorporated African tribal masks to develop the Cubist style. British sculptor Henry Moore, who turned Aztec sculptures as an influence in his modern bronze pieces. And American architect Frank Lloyd Wright, who used forms derived from Mayan structures. Each of these artists appropriated cultural content, recasting it in terms of the development of Western high art. In his work, CHAGOYA reverses this process, taking images from the dominant American culture and placing them within the context of indigenous and developing world perspectives. The hood houses many of the CHAGOYA prints. His print, titled utopiancannibal.org, is a part of a greater Utopian Cannibal series. The work problematizes the construction of nationalism and ethnocentric attitudes by satirizing European stereotypes of the cannibal. CHAGOYA hopes to deconstruct homogeneity by erasing boundaries between civilization and barbarism, and posing nuanced questions of identity to his audience.
Mexican-American Rupert Garcia has been a pivotal figure in both the political and artistic spheres over the last 25 years. Garcia's work deals with issues of racism and the injustices faced by Latinos in the United States. In an effort to be more direct and forceful with his message, Garcia's style harkens back to the work of the Tres Grandes of Mexican muralism, Diego Rivera, Jose Clemente Orozco, and David Siqueiros. Garcia melds their traditional styles with skills learned from European artists and the American pop movement, all influences which can be seen in his homage piece, Orozco. On a personal level, Garcia has championed Latino art scholarship. He holds master's degrees in both studio art and art history, and has published numerous essays on prominent artistic figures such as Frida Kahlo. In the Hood's collection, Orozco serves as a testament to Garcia's affinity to the Tres Grandes and his political vision, which came to light when Garcia abandoned his easel painting and devoted himself to political posters. Garcia inflects his anger at the current political environment through the use of large figures and brightly colored shapes. His radicalization and political charge began with the Third World student protest and Latino movements in the late 60s in San Francisco, where Garcia was studying. In his truest form, Orozco melds Garcia's sometimes dissonant aesthetics with the social currents of his time.
Chilean-born artist Roberto Matta is a ubiquitous figure whose art represents a confluence of European, American, and Latin American cultures. As a pioneer and grandmaster of both the surrealist and abstract expressionist movements, Matta's work blends complex, cosmic spaces with abstraction. Matta broke away from both groups to pursue what his career would come to be defined by: art with a stronger social conscience and an exploration of the world. During the 1940s and 1950s, Matta responded to the disturbing state of world politics by busying his canvases with images of electrical machinery and distressed figures. One of his paintings, A Pinch of Earth, features a dark, dreamlike landscape filled with both a sense of hope and resignation. Matta looks to portray the conflict between social reality and our vision for society by juxtaposing night and day. In the bottom left corner, we see a human fist, defiantly raised against the horizon, creating a strange energy powering what appears to be a force field of lights. MATTA, who was highly influenced by Freud and the psychoanalytic view of the mind, posits that his pieces are visual analogies for the artist's psyche, and represents his frustration with the subjugation of minorities and the systemically disadvantaged.
The work of Maria Magdalena CAMPOS-PONS finds its roots and influences from Cuba, her native country. The influences constitute elements of the African Yoruba religion and an ethnic multiplicity, a product of her Afro-Cuban background. In 1990, CAMPOS-PONS migrated to the United States, an exilic journey which she perpetually reconsiders. Her move inspired the examination of the problems of border crossing, belonging, assimilation, and transculturation between cultures. CAMPOS-PONS exploits a rich multimodal tapestry of photographic means, namely portraits, documentary photographs, and landscapes, in an effort to create historical narratives that are cross-cultural, cross-generational, and ultimately express race and gender as symbols of matriarchy and maternity. The hood contains 2 of 3 photographs of the CAMPOS-PONS photographic series entitled When I Am Not Here, Estoy Allá. CAMPOS-PONS herself is featured in the works covered in brown and white makeup. The work problematizes the complex issues confronting the artist, who has moved from one country to another at a time when travel between them was restricted. CAMPOS-PONS negotiates her sense of place and belonging using the word allá to mean both here and there. In the piece, CAMPOS-PONS has 2 phrases written on her chest. Identity could be a tragedy, and patria una trampa. Homeland is an entrapment, reflecting CAMPOS-PONS' political charge against both repressive and myopic governments. CAMPOS-PONS' photographic series carries multiple layers of argument and hidden meaning. The nuances she develops stems from the deep-seated mistrust with societal treatment of minorities she vocalized in her most notable quote. She states, "6 things are difficult in this world: to be a woman, to be black, to be Cuban, to believe in love, to believe in people, and the possibility that the world can be better."
As we have examined, by learning and understanding this Latino presence in American art movements and styles, we can begin to appreciate the inextricable relationship between Latino artists and the broader American art and culture of the United States.
And to discover this penetrating and lasting influence, we didn't even have to go searching too far from our backyard after all.
Solo tocando guitarra, un buen día a la playa, y me veo de muy lejos, también con los ojos, con la lista muy larga, me puso a rodear, solo quise enojarme, con cantidad de mis faltas.